Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of the PD Sports Podcast. We are finally here. Doesn't matter that we are taking this for the second time around. As you can see, a little bit of a different setup here today. We've got some familiar faces for some and some new faces for others. Damo, Dom, Craig, welcome along. How we going, boys?
Look, Craig's in the chat. That's all that matters. And for those that don't know who Craig is, to the bottom of the screen, he is just the resident guest as now on for every time we have a guest pool, isn't he?
Yep, exactly right. So every time you're going to see this lovely little orange box, that's just a bot that's helping us clean up the podcast, which is fantastic for us. So Dom, how you going, mate? Long time no speak.
I've been better.
Yeah,
I've had
we've all
better
been better.
sporting weekends.
Other than some results going my way, it's been fantastic though. So I think we've been quite on the opposite end of a few of those results, which have been good. Obviously, big weekend of sport this weekend, FA Cup. Looks like we're all wearing red as well. We haven't even teed this up properly, so
I didn't even realise.
well done, guys. And I think that's probably just a good segue to go straight into last night's action. But before we do, thank you to everyone that has shared, listened, and passed the pod around. It's been much appreciated to get us to 50 episodes. Who would have thought this time last year? It's only been just over a year, I think, Dame, since we first
100%.
started. I'm just going to make sure I get into full screen mode here as well. A year's gone by so quickly, so thanks for everyone for their support. But I think we might as well just get straight into it. Last night, I'm going to come from more of a neutral perspective tonight with our analysis of the game. I reckon if you were a neutral, you would have absolutely loved that final. You would have just loved to seen a goal over the 120 minutes. But it had everything. It had big challenges, had big chances, end to end. I would have thought if you're not a Liverpool or Chelsea fan, you would have really enjoyed that game. I'll start with Damo because I think you went through about 500 different emotions last night whilst
I did.
we were trying to watch the game, and every 2 minutes you were messaging me saying that we're going to lose. So let's just get your general take on what happened last night before we do a deeper dive.
Just before that, I'd like to also say thank you very much, everyone, for 50 episodes. Obviously, it's been an amazing journey with me and Paul. Thank you to Dom for occasionally being on the pod as well, and every other guest that we've had on. This is our second take, and I know my first take around, I did do a bit more of a 50 episode spiel, but on the second take, we're just going to dive straight in. In terms of the game, the emotion was quite high because after 20 minutes, I thought we had it all won. We had it done and dusted, and my score prediction of 4-1 was coming in that I made in the first take of the pod. And then we obviously had the emotion of Chelsea coming into the game. I do echo the sentiment of Paul saying that it was definitely a great game for the neutral. It is probably the best 0-0 I've ever watched because it probably should have been 5-5. And then, on top of that, I think the emotion comes out because you just don't want to be in a situation where we lose that game, we don't win the Prem, and then all of a sudden if we don't win the Champions League, everyone's going to say our season was a failure. Yet we've played every game possible this year, so I don't know how that is a failure. And that's how high the bar's been set. The fact that I'm sweating an FA Cup final just so our season is not called a failure, and we've played every game of football this year, is ludicrous, and just how far Klopp has taken this wonderful club of ours and put it to new heights.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair to sum up as well. And it's interesting because looking at some of the stats throughout, and I'll get your thoughts on this one. For a game of so many shots, there were so few on target. And when you sort of think, an entertaining 0-0, normally you think that keepers are making big saves, but that really wasn't the case at all last night, really. It was, how'd you take it all probably from 20 minutes on, Dom? Because, as Damo sort of mentioned, I think we came out the blocks flying, and if Thiago puts that goal in 3 minutes in, could have been a very different game.
Yeah, like me and Damo were talking during the game, and we said the game should have been over after 10 minutes. Thiago chance, Diaz should be scoring, or if not scoring, at least squaring to Salah. So he had 3 choices and he made the wrong one. But other than that, I think he was best on ground for Liverpool. He created so much. But yeah, I thought after those 10 minutes, I thought, here we go, we're going to get pummeled. But then from probably the hour onwards, I'd say we probably had the upper hand, especially with Salah coming off, throwing off all the game plan, essentially. He's your main man. I thought that next hour we should have at least scored 1 or 2. Allison pulls off 2 really good saves in the first half, one off Alonso and one off, I can't remember who else. And then Lukaku has that one in the 45th minute. He should score.
Yeah.
Alonso hits the post. Hits the crossbar in the second half.
That's actually a great save from Allison.
So the first 5 minutes of the second half, I think Chelsea had 3 really good chances.
Came out flying.
Robertson should have scored. He hit the post. Like you said, it should have been about 5-0. And
Diaz hit the post as well. Second half.
That was the craziest 0-0 I've ever seen. I don't know how a team didn't score.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So it's heartbreaking.
Pulisic, I think, was one that I felt looked like he was going to score as well. He
had that one in the first half where Chelsea played the overload really well with the wing backs. I felt there was that one with Pulisic and then Alonso down the left. I felt like they played the overload really, really well, but just to no prevail. But then Liverpool getting in behind really, really well, also to no prevail. So I think they both played exactly how they wanted to play. It just didn't come off, which is weird, but still great. It was a great game.
He kind of fits the dynamic though of the 4 games we've played this season too, though. So we've had 2 0-0s, a 1-0 and a 2-0 from 4 games.
All 4 games have been ripper games.
I have mentioned it on when we took the first take of the pod, Paul, that was going to go one or two ways this game, that our recent results against Chelsea, I think straight back to Anfield and Lukaku starting, I called in the first take of the pod Lukaku would start over Havertz because that physicality factor, if they played the 2 up top. You go back to that first game at Anfield, even with 10 men, Chelsea gave us a big run for our money with 10 men. Lukaku was immense that night at Anfield. And we mentioned that, we have not beaten them this year over 90 minutes, and we still haven't. And we haven't even beaten them over 120 minutes this year. 2 games that have gone to a shootout. And you have to feel sorry for Chelsea too.
They haven't beaten.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Europe and England, because you beat City in the FA Cup.
We've beaten everybody, I think, apart from you guys, I think at least once this year. But yeah, and you got to feel for Chelsea because they came out, and after that first, 20 minutes, they were very much in the FA Cup, and very much, I thought, in with a shot of winning it. Probably should have scored, like we said. I don't know if we're going into our deeper dive of the game just yet, but I've obviously got definitely some points that I want to bring up about the game. And definitely one point that I think is a little bit controversial, but look, I think we were deserved winners only because I support Liverpool, no other reason. So it was just a toss of a coin, and really good spectacle and a good game to watch.
Yeah, literally.
Like everything, you could flip a penalty shootout, you could flip a coin, and you get the same probability.
Yeah, and it's a harsh way to settle it, and it probably makes it a little bit worse that we've played each other twice now. And for Chelsea, league form, aside, which hasn't been
up and down.
Yeah, exactly. And
post Christmas,
we mentioned this in the first take as well, that you guys really could have been miles safe in third at this point of time, but it wasn't to be. But anyway, regardless,
I think third's just about locked up. If we're talking league, I think they just need 1 point.
Yeah,
one of the games is Watford.
I want to throw it to you there, Dom.
Yeah. What are you going to throw to me, mate?
120 minutes, you lose the FA Cup final, you got Leicester in a couple of days, squad's a little bit tired. You beat Leicester, any nerves about maybe even finishing outside the 4th Arsenal and Spurs win? The Spurs are playing
I think the probability of finishing 5th is about 1%.
Because of Watford.
It just means you're playing a relegated Watford in the last game, so you
just need a point against a relegated Watford.
You should be fine. I just want to make your nerves jingle.
If it was at Vicarage Road, I could see a world where...
Yeah, if they weren't relegated or they were fighting for it, but I think we'll beat Leicester. They're playing for nothing.
Yeah.
They're not really playing for anything. But
Alrighty. I want to
just take the third with the the calamity that this season's been off the field. I think we just take third, and with the injuries that they've had and off-field drama, I think third's.
Yeah, you take that.
You take it and run, and you reset for next year. The new owners, Ben Chilwell coming in. Couple players leaving, but I think I've heard talks of Perisic. His deal was just about done.
I think it's done.
Ivan Perisic. So yeah, we're very excited for next year with the top 3. I think it's going to be incredible.
Yep, and maybe it's just a year behind schedule because everyone was tipping this year to be the year where Chelsea maybe break the party at the top. But I want to get into.
Well, I think the league needs. Sorry, I think the league needs that the 3
100% it
teams
does.
going at it.
Oh yeah.
It just makes for a better spectacle having more than just 2 horse race, every year.
Yeah,
So.
or just City running away with it, which we've had a couple times recently. Those are the worst seasons.
Yeah, and what I want to get onto is maybe a player or a moment that surprised you last night. My example was I probably expected better output from Reece James, especially with how high Robbo was bombing on last night. I was a bit not disappointed, but probably relieved that he wasn't more influential on the game. I felt you guys were a lot more damaging down the left. Maybe that's targeted at trying to get at Trent more, but I feel like if Reece James is on the end of a lot of the stuff that Alonso was doing, could have made. I don't know. I just think maybe it's hindsight, isn't it? But
yeah.
But I feel like the quality of Reece James probably is a lot higher than Marcus Alonso.
Yeah.
But who knows? That's who probably shocked me, but
it was
or just
wasn't on.
Yeah.
Oh, what was yours, Dom? I'm gonna let you go next because mine's controversial.
Oh wow. Probably. Oh, he does it every week. But Thiago Silva, his 36-37, his on-ball defending is next level, and his ball playing. Those balls he sprays wide for his age, and he's just been a great signing. We're really glad we got him for that extra year for all the kind of crap went down with Abramovich. So at his age to still keep doing that shows
even
age is just a number.
Too. I was going to say that. Yeah.
I was saying we need to get at him. Diaz tri-slate him or whoever, like Pilia runs, towards Silva, but every time we went near him, he was rock solid. He was really good.
Yeah, so that's probably mine. Who's yours, Dame?
All right, now before I continue, everybody, I love this player. I think he's fantastic, and I think he's going to be a massive club hero. And he reminds me a lot of 2 players merged into one.
Where are you going with this?
I've got 2 problems with what happened last night, and if it happens in the Champions League final, we will not win the Champions League final. When you dominate a side like that for 20 minutes in a cup final, you have to score and put your chances to bed, or else you allow the opposition in. Yeah. And secondly, when you get 5 big key clutch chances in a final, you cannot win man of the match for me if you do not finish one. Luis Diaz plays like that in the Champions League final. He will be the reason why we lose it. Luis Diaz was nearly the reason why we lost the final last night and was not my man of the match at all, was nowhere near it. I know he created, I know he got in right spaces and right moments, but it looked like the occasion of the game got to him. I know it might be his first big major final in front of, a massive English crowd.
Second one.
But for me, I'm expecting him to finish the first 1-on-1 when he put straight at Mendy. I'm expecting him with the one he hits the post to probably do that. That's fine.
He's gone for under his legs, though.
That first one should be going across goal to Salah.
Yeah.
It should either be a cutback or you see Mendy go down early, you don't put it at his leg, you put it high and that's in. I expect a player like Luis Diaz to finish that. The one that I don't think gets talked about enough, which was later in the game, he gets on his right foot. Mendy's a bit out of position. He puts it just past the post. If he hangs that on the post line and curls it in to midway into the side netting there, he scores. And if he's as good as we think he is, he should score. So last night, Luis Diaz was potentially a couple of spot kicks away from being our villain last night because I honestly could not believe how we have not scored. And I think a lot of it came down to his end product. Do think he was great, think he was exceptional apart from the end product, and this is not a slate on him. I'm just hoping he learns from that experience to be a little bit more clinical because you cannot allow teams to come back in. If we do that against Madrid, we lose the Champions League final. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, because Benzema gets one chance.
And he'll score straight away. And we can't be that side that dominates and plays that sort of football with that sort of high line and not finish. And man of the match really should have been Alisson last night. 2 massive saves. A save from Alonso keeps us in it from the free kick where he gets a little flick onto the bar. And
what about Thiago?
Look,
I'm going to put something to you.
Thiago was up there too.
He was my man of the match.
Thiago was very good, but he's always he's always going to get a minimum 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put something to you. I don't think Diaz starts. I think he starts Jota on the left in the final, the Champions League.
I agree with that.
I agree with that too.
I like Diaz 75th minute tired legs type game. He'll create the moment.
Run at Carvajal or whoever they play it right back.
You mentioned that Damo on Friday as well. You weren't 100% sold on Diaz starting, and I sort of came more from the approach of what's Klopp likely to do more than what should he do, and maybe him running at a tired defence is probably more impactful.
I like him like that. Next year he starts nailed on for a whole year, but I think in this run-in, I would prefer him off the bench, tired legs.
There's a
know
couple
what you're going to
things.
get. But and look, if I'm complaining about that about Luis Diaz, we've got quite the hell of a player on our hands.
Can I put two things to you, Liverpool fans? Should I go the near one or the one in the near future or the
go
post
near
Champions
future
League
and then
final?
post Champions
Near
League.
future, does Salah play, or do you
Yes.
think that's precautionary? Because I think that's precautionary.
Yeah,
precautionary. He walked straight off. It was a proper groin injury.
Same reason that Verge came off. I reckon that was a plan. If we got to 90 minutes, Verge wasn't going to play another minute.
I agree.
Yeah.
I also think that we will see more precaution taken with Southampton. I think if City beat West Ham tonight, we'll make 10 to 11 changes against Southampton 100% because the league will be done.
Do Liverpool have a double game week? No, they don't.
No.
No, they don't. I think they're both on 36 games, aren't they?
Yeah,
37. 36, sorry. Yeah.
36, yeah. And my next one, of your front five, do you see them all staying? Does Bobby go? I think Bobby's got to go.
No, you want to know who I think's leaving, and I really hope it doesn't happen? It's Mane, and I don't want that to happen at all. I think it's more important.
Do you think Madrid come knocking?
No. He's going to go to Bayern by all accounts.
Heard Bayern a lot.
Well,
apparently Bayern are giving us money like Gnabry, and I wouldn't want Gnabry anywhere near this squad because I don't think he's good enough. But I personally think that it's more important for us to throw money at money at Mane than it is at Salah at the minute.
Who's younger?
Mane through the middle is next level, where Salah, as much as he's a club legend, I know as much as he wants to stay, on current form, you'd want Mane to make sure he sticks around. I think Mane's more that Jurgen Klopp type of player on the press as well. Just think Salah's obviously just the best at what he does.
And he's evolved into the central role too.
And it's just so good. And like Diaz to play on the left, and then, on the right, it is what it is. But
yeah, I'd be holding on to Mane before Salah. I've been saying that for a while
would be too.
People think
I know he's your favourite player, Paul. He's your favourite player. But and don't get me wrong, I love Salah too. It's not like I've had enough with Salah. I'm not bashing Salah. I would love them all to stay. I just think if the one that's going to leave will be Mane, and it's out of the ones that want to keep, it's Mane.
One goes. I think one in the summer, one goes.
Real Madrid, Barcelona, 100 million for Salah.
Diaz, Jota, they're only just joined. So neither of them are going. It's
Salah's
one of the original.
Yeah, one of the original. Bobby leaves.
I think it's Bobby. I think Bobby goes to.
I don't think
he deserves to be playing more often.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think he goes.
Yeah, look, I can see a world where he does go. I'm not going to dispute that, but I don't know. I think he's still got a lot to give to this team as well.
He's won everything.
The only reason I don't think he goes is two reasons. He's very much a Jurgen Klopp type player, and he knows that exactly that Jurgen will use him, especially in the big games. If Bobby was fit in this run-in, he would have played probably the Champions League semi, would have probably started the final because he loves him in the big games. I don't think he starts the Champions League final because of the injuries he's had, but you will see him probably get used in that. And the second reason I think he stays is that Brazilian connection we have at Liverpool is quite a close unit, and I think he doesn't want to leave that. I think Bobby's that sort of player that if someone said you got a 5-year deal and you end your career at Liverpool in 5 years' time, he probably says yes. Where I think Mane and Salah may probably go, depending on the money. Where I think Bobby's just like, give me that contract. It reminds me a lot of Lucas Leiva, who would have just stuck around Liverpool's reserves if he had to, because he just loves being in the city, loves being with the boys. And I think Bobby's that same sort of mould. But who knows? And if he leaves, he's done everything. And I would say
that's why I think he does leave, because he's won everything. And he can go do more.
Depends on what his ambitions are, though. If he wants to stay at Liverpool, if he's happy, settled, he's got young kids. You know what I mean? Like, you can't predict that too.
You got to think, for you coming into a World Cup, players want minutes.
He'll be there regardless for Brazil. I don't see a world where he's not playing in the World Cup.
Yeah, none of us.
Does he start?
Yeah,
he plays as a 10.
Over Jesus.
Probably plays as a 10, to be honest.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I would say so.
Yeah, look, I don't think with Divock going as well. That's already announced. So
where's he going?
AC Milan.
Oh, no, that's bloody good for them.
Yeah, that's massive. So that's why I think we're a bit more apprehensive to probably let another one go unless someone's coming back in the other way. So
Minamino, what's happening with him?
Don't know, but Jurgen loves him.
I want him still.
I want him still because for what I've seen from when he's played this year, he's actually finally looked really good. Just has not got nowhere near as much minutes. And if we lose Mane or Salah, I actually think he slots on the right and plays quite well there, and he can play on the left and he can play through the middle if we needs be. Especially with Divock leaving, I don't want anyone else at that front side to leave.
Yeah, unsettle it more.
So where do you, if you can sign one player, one position?
Number
this
6.
summer.
Yeah,
A
same
6
defensive mid.
for
Cover Fabinho when he's out.
Fabinho, who you're never going to get a full season out of him. He's going to be.
Yeah, we've
He
never
always
had
goes
that.
a 3 to 4 week injury.
He's got those injury. Yeah.
Even for
And I
game
think they're already
management,
going for that.
He's not playing the final, is he? He's out for the
he
final.
will play the final.
No, Champions League final is fine. He'll be fit. If we really wanted him, he could play Wolves, but he won't play Wolves. We won't risk that unless the
League's
title's
on
the line.
Yeah.
And even then, against Wolves, I don't think we risk him anyway.
So we're hearing that Chimani from Monaco is the one at the moment, Dom, that looks to be coming through the door.
He's more of a box-to-box, they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
He's a bit more defensively minded than that, I think. But
I can't say I've actually watched him.
If Klopp wants him, I'm happy.
He'll mould him.
That's the way I see it. If Klopp says he wants a player, that's the player we're getting.
But yeah, like even Fabinho, he's not a bog standard number 6 that just sits there and screens though. So it is a bit different. It's a bit of a different role to say how City used Rodri. So
the regista for us, if you put it in FM terms.
Yeah, a bit more aggressive, gets more involved, higher up the pitch. We tend to just defend with a 2, which isn't fantastic, but. Regardless of, I'm sure we're going to have plenty of opportunities to talk about transfer window and whatnot over the next month or so once the season winds down. Someone again who caught the eye for me last night was Kanate. Once again, he's just getting better and better and better with more games that he's playing. And Matty, I think it's almost a change of the guard last night for that second centre back spot next to Verge. I think we'd be stupid not to start Kanate against Madrid.
He just looks like he's going to mould into Virgil van Dijk, and people forget how young he is, and he's so quick. He's got Joe Gomez's speed with Virgil's physicality. I know this is going to be a really high thing to say, but he could honestly be as good as Virgil van Dijk when he hits his prime, which is ridiculous. And
he's 21.
Playing as well.
I think he's only 21, I think. He's got plenty of time.
It's just mind-boggling. What a signing.
Yeah. Very underrated, and it's very similar to... the way Fabinho got moulded in, very slow, spoon-fed, and then just goes bang, sort of halfway through that first season. And
Andy Robertson.
Yeah, pretty well. Oh, Robbo had a bit more. Oh, I guess Canado's had a lot of competition as well. I was going to say Moreno was kind of taking up half a season of Robbo's development, which in hindsight you'd probably
wouldn't call that competition.
You'd give Robbo that extra 6 months and just let him play because we all knew what Moreno was like. But regardless, someone who caught my eye from the blue side of the match last night in particular was Pulisic. He's someone who, especially more recently, I've been very critical of in the moments that I'd seen him. Although he didn't score, I thought going forward he was definitely the live wire. And every time that the fast breaks came about last night, he was the one I was worried about. Obviously, end product still probably a question, Dom, and you can probably comment on it more than I can. But I feel like he has been popping up a little bit more, and he's been a bit more clinical in front of goal, either with assists or with goals. But he actually showed a lot of promise with working with Lukaku. The minute that dynamic changed up front, you guys didn't look like scoring, in my opinion. The minute Loftus-Cheek came on up front,
I don't understand that sub at all.
And then to take him off too, which was just even weirder.
I don't get it at all.
I think Pulisic's problem is, firstly, I think he doesn't have the engine to run out games. It's not like Mount where he can run for days. And yeah, that end product is
developing.
So it's a consistent end product because he'll go and score worldy or be in the right place at the right time. I think it was against Everton or West Ham, got a last minute winner.
Yeah,
his movement into the box is almost Hazard like. Yeah. It's just that end product. He's a very smart player, but if he gets that end product, but he's dynamic. So
he's consistency though too with minutes. Like if they're going to play him, then they'll come.
Yeah, I think you'll see him play a bit more next year. Tuchel was the one who
reblooded him,
brought him out. Yeah,
Dortmund, of course. Yeah,
yeah. So I think that you might see, if you see a bit more, if a couple of players leave here and there next year, you see him get a lot more minutes into him, which is what he needs because I think he's a good player when he's on.
You could definitely see the class, and how direct he was, and that was what was damaging. Especially in these bigger games, that's sometimes what you need. You can have your, creative, crafty guys like your Havertzes and whatever, but sometimes you just need that guy that can just get into that space and chase a ball down or put the press on, and then create something that way. So that's how I sort of looked at his game, I thought Lukaku was actually quite good. He did have that chance in the first half where he just has to put that on target.
Yeah,
As he's
yeah.
at full stretch though
he just
too.
has to keep it lower because that's Alisson's to go nowhere near that.
Yeah, with the amount of power that they had on it.
Power and going top corner. So I think that's definitely one he should finish. But his past month has been it's like a new player. If he keeps that up going into next year, he could be really dangerous because he's just his movement, his hold up play, brings players involved, brings players into the game.
I think this new system.
So I think he just wants to be new system and he wants to be there.
I think Tuchel's finally realised he has to put someone alongside him, so they've binned off this 5 at the back with the 2 wingers. Let the wing backs really create the width and put these 2 guys up front. Starting to suit Lukaku a bit more. I still thought Tuchel last night would have. I called that he would have started Lukaku in the pod that we didn't actually get out in the end, Paul, because of the audio, and take 1. But once, maybe it's a bit of hindsight. I was surprised he didn't probably go to that system to start with Havertz because he's so dynamic.
Havertz was injured.
Oh,
okay, that's why I was in the squad.
That's probably what it is.
No, I was in the squad. No, a hamstring niggle.
Okay, in that case.
Or else he probably does go Havertz, Lukaku, and Mount,
which
I think is their best front 3.
I think that is 2. If you're playing it with a 2 and a 1, not
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I agree with that. And look, if you play like that, it's going to be really good to watch next year as well. And I want Lukaku to succeed because I think he's a fantastic footballer and I like watching him play. But secondly, from a fantasy FPL asset, it's just nice to have another striker that's actually scoring goals.
And for Liverpool fans, you want Chelsea to be competitive.
Yeah, because we want them to take points off City.
Take points off City and vice versa.
Yeah. We need it. We need it. If we're going to win a league, we need it.
So we need a stronger league.
In about 2 hours.
100%. All right, I think we've dilly-dallied enough around this topic, but we've got to break down those penalties from last night.
Here we go.
Which, compared to the Carabao Cup final, I felt they were night and day. Obviously, we were missing 4 of our 5, I think it was, that took penalties in the first 5. Fabinho, Verge, Salah.
Virgil van Dijk,
3, I think there's one more. Maybe 3.
No,
3?
Robertson.
No, first 5 I'm talking about.
Oh, first 5. No, it's only 3.
Milner,
3 or 5 though is still a big gap.
Yeah, it's 3.
Yeah, and I didn't think many of them were that good, other than Jota.
Jota's was good.
And Jorginho.
Bobby.
Alonso
had Bobby's was underrated.
Alonso side netted. Thiago's was good. Alonso side netted.
Yeah.
I think it was
Jorginho.
I think if you break them down by how they went, Milner's first one.
Milner was never going to miss.
Mendy.
It wasn't a great penalty though.
Mendy wasn't a greatest penalty. It's nice for the keeper. Mendy should react enough to stretch his hand up and save it, but it is what it is. I know Bobby's with the starter step. I never like it. The only thing he did well was he realised Mendy went early and down early, and he put it high. It was the only reason why it was a good penalty, because if he hits that low, it's a save. So for Bobby's present mind in that last moment to then make it come up, makes it a good penalty for me. But I look at Mane's penalty and it was pretty telegraphed.
That was dreadful.
I look at
Mane's.
It was an awful pen. Mane's was kind of like
he was just praying that Mendy went to his right and he just wanted to roll it in. That's what Mane was to me. It was just I'm going to pick the side, and if he goes the right way, then we're going around again. Otherwise, if he goes the wrong way, then I've won it. If I'm Mane, I'm doing what Reece James does, man. I just smack it up the middle, and if Mendy's got the bullies to stay up the middle, then good on you.
He never does.
Yeah,
I think you're going to smack it regardless.
The fifth
that's
one.
Why Azpilicuetas and Mounts don't look as bad. Obviously, they're bad because they miss, but they put their foot through it.
Asby's penalty wasn't that bad, to be quite fair.
The outside of the post, though.
That's a 5 mil other way, centimetre other way.
It's inside the post and in, and it looks brilliant. Same way Thiago's is so cool, calm, collected, but it's 5 mil the other side. He's missed. He's dragged.
I just think you have to penalties. You put your foot through them regardless.
Just pick your spot. That's why I don't like the stutter step. That's why I was surprised Jorginho didn't have the stutter step.
No, I think he's going to bin it now. He's missed a couple of big penalties lately.
Yeah.
And we're dicking around.
It just makes it, if a keeper just decides to stand up to a stutter step, you then got to generate power of one step. And because you've come from your original momentum, it's so hard to then regenerate power, which is always as a keeper. And it's the reason why players do it. Because if you stutter step, and, once you stutter step and then as a keeper you move, you're fucked. And that's the whole reason they do it. So the fact that he's binned it probably shows that stutter step's probably going out. For,
well, he's missed
out of
2
fashion.
for Italy. He missed the one against us because Keller has stayed big and he panicked and dragged it. So, you know, if you're missing those type of penalties in big moments, then you probably are going to bin it. The other one for me that stood out, I had it on the top of my head and I can't even remember now.
Simicast stands out for me because there's obvious reasons to that. I just think it's a nicely taken penalty after Mane's missed. After you've seen one of your big penalty takers miss, he steps up and just rolls it bottom bin.
Well, Jota probably filled in with a bit of confidence as well. That does help with the penalty beforehand. I mean, look, Mount, I don't want to go into it because it's not much to talk about. It's a good save, but I can now see why the decision in the Carabao Cup. I want to get your thoughts on it, Damo, first, but I understand. Like Mendy doesn't look solid diving high, and Nick made a really good point last night when I was with him. He kind of just falls. Like his dive doesn't seem powerful. Like it's not springy. He just moves and collapses. And if that's what they're seeing on the training, I mean, Mendy's a fantastic goalkeeper. I'm not saying there's anything to do with his ability, but he didn't look like saving a penalty unless it was hit practically straight at him, which is what Mane's was.
Like saving penalties.
What was that, Dom?
The way I view it,
I said he never looks like saving a penalty.
Yeah,
I'd have to agree with that.
The way I look from it as a goalkeeper perspective, Mendy's the type of guy that in a 1-on-1 you'd love to have him because he makes himself big, knows where to come, knows how to rush. I like him coming for crosses because he's commanding. The one thing he lacks, and you see it in the penalty shootout, is natural explosive movement. When you need to make a penalty save, it's a big explosive movement and have springs to go up or slash down. Or as you drive, you can like double react. As you drive from side, you can go up or down from there. For me, Mendy's very good at going low in that situation. He's got natural spring low, or his natural explosive movement low. He lacks the ability to push off one leg late movement and make that big save going up high. It's also the lack of reach too. And that's why Mane's he saves. Like Mane puts it mid-height or higher, even Mendy going the right way with his natural falling movement that he has in a shootout, he ain't making the save because he's just not going to be in the spot that he needs to be there, Mendy. And I think that's why they bring Kepa on, because when you watch Kepa, normally, apart from the Carabao Cup final, make penalty saves, he's got that big explosive unit with that big frame, and he gets up and he gets down.
Mendy's bigger than him.
I'm not going to say that it's a massive difference having a bigger, taller keeper in a shootout, because it matters about the technique, but obviously the extra reach does help. But I just feel like Kepa's natural spring is better than Mendy's in that situation, which is a massive advantage, and why Alisson makes a really powerful save, which, to be fair, I think if Mendy goes the same way because he can fall onto it, still makes that save. But
it wasn't a great penalty, Mounts.
It's a different type of save. Mendy's save, he's fallen onto Mane's, and if it was any higher, he's, whatever, Mane makes it. But Alisson would have saved that if it went bottom bin, or if it went higher, because he's already had that natural spring and then reacts. He goes up and then drops the hand to react, where Mendy's just full, and anything up that way, like Bobby's. If Alisson's facing Bobby, Alisson saves. Kepa faces Bobby's penalty, Kepa saves.
Yeah.
Mendy faces Bobby's penalty because of that natural falling movement. It's a goal.
Alrighty. So with orders or with takers, was there anybody that shocked you guys that didn't take one? I'll start with Dom.
For me.
Dom?
I can't remember who was on the field. Trying to think who didn't take one.
I've got one name that stood out, which for a Liverpool perspective was a bit of a shock. That in 7 he didn't take one.
Who?
Hendo.
Oh no, not a good penalty taker.
That's
penalty
obviously what I've learned from that. But
he didn't
it's probably
in the Euro final either.
No, he would have been penalty taker 8 or 9.
Okay.
He's not the.
That's probably good leadership
taker.
Then.
Yeah,
that's
he
good
knows
leadership
that too.
to then have everyone else take them. Him and Canate can sit at the back of the line.
my big shock is he didn't take him off to bring on a penalty taker. The fact
who did he bring on?
About him taking one, but I would have probably brought Divock. I would have brought Divock.
Oh yeah,
sweet.
That's a good shout.
Curtis Jones.
But my feeling on this pool. I don't like bringing players.
Yeah,
on
neither do I.
Penalty. I would have brought him on 105th minute, and then he got 15 minutes in the legs because he may have won you the game as well.
Noble. Did it with Mark Noble.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was dreadful.
I mean, Chelsea brought on Azpilicueta who missed.
Yeah, but I'm talking way more about Barkley though. I think Barkley's more the one that came on for it.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but he still come on in that. No, he didn't. Barkley.
He came on
no,
for
you're right.
Loftus-Cheek right at the end for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, Barkley did, yeah.
But why the hell did Loftus-Cheek come on? That's what I want to know too. Like, what was the benefit of having him?
Weird.
Yeah, and you got Werner there. I don't know.
Yeah, how are you thinking if you weren't of tied defence, you want to get out there and you bring Loftus-Cheek to get dragged in your position?
He won't have gone. He would leave.
He'd have to go. I'd be walking.
Hey, you take 20. Yeah. I'll take him for 20 mil.
Oh man, imagine slap him on the left as a rotation player.
Yeah.
All right. Any last final thoughts before we get into some questions, guys? Because we do have a few to get through.
Yeah. West Ham
City
tonight. West Ham fan tonight.
City? Sorry, we're talking about the final?
Oh, I was talking more about the final.
Thoughts. Yeah.
Oh, just quickly, when I was watching, I just thought Chelsea and Liverpool are so far clear as the best knockout
cup
teams.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're so far clear of City when it comes to knockout tournaments.
100%. Time and time again have just shown the quality to make final after final in the last 3-4 years. For us though, I think big moment for Liverpool though. First time since 2012 that we've made the final. First time since 2006 that we've won it. I think that's So that's where people that don't have the understanding of why it means so much to the Liverpool supporters and the club, for a team that's won it now 7 times, I think.
Correct. Last night was our 7th.
Last night, it was the 7th. That's huge because it's been a big curse. Even with Brendan, we'd sort of been around the mark and we'd fall to freaking Villa and whoever else. We'd play Palace in semis and whatever and not get through. So for me, that's where, people say, oh, whatever, it's only the FA Cup. But it's only the FA Cup to people that don't win it. You know what I mean? So if Man United supporters that are saying that, if they win it, they're probably thinking it's the kickstart of a rebuild.
That was Liverpool's 8th.
That was the 8th. Okay,
well, we were on
even better.
Before then.
Very even with Chelsea.
For me, it's the most traditional cup competition in world football. Why wouldn't you want to win it? I'm a big believer that we should keep the tradition in the game, but we're not going to go down that route of talking about what the FA Cup should or shouldn't be like. But I reckon that it's a massive competition, and for us, it could be the kickstart of what could be a really, really crazy next few weeks.
And even if we can walk away with a cup treble, that's still
huge,
unbelievable. In a time where Man City's Man City as well, to be able to walk away with a domestic double and a treble and a European treble, that's just next level. And to finish second in this league is still a massive achievement, which unfortunately we've done more than enough times in the last few years. So I think from the final sort of last bit from the cup final, it's one that doesn't have the that grabbing moment in it like a lot of finals do, but it's one that I still think is going to be a memorable final, which means that it's a highly contested and an even game. As Damo's alluded to, big game with Man City, West Ham. Obviously, Man City have all eyes on this Premier League and expect them to come home pretty strong. And West Ham, I don't know. I think they're just too far gone now to really make a move at doing anything to help us out.
See, I've got a different perspective on this. Everyone's forgetting one massive thing about this game for West Ham. Yep. It's Mark Noble's last game in front of his home fans. They're going to go absolutely ballistic.
He's not going to be playing.
Pardon? They will go ballistic. They're going to go ballistic, man.
They'll go ballistic, but this City team's good enough to overcome that.
I believe that tonight will be the night that the title race will be back on.
You're cutting out a bit, Dom.
The City's going to win about 5-0.
Yeah, this West Ham team's jaded massively. They've played a lot of football with a small squad. I think they're done. They look gassed.
I am going to believe until we cannot do it. Even if it means continue scoring 7 on the final day, I will believe.
Because I've written it off. I've written it off.
I'm watching Spurs at the moment, Burns.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up because they've apparently just got a pen.
Yes. Tottenham have a penalty in the 52nd minute.
0-0.
Yeah, 0-0.
That Kane.
Kane just scored it.
There we go. Good fantasy points.
You ruined it.
Well, I'm watching it on my phone.
No, you're a bit ahead of me. Good penalty. Great penalty.
That's why I reckon you're cutting out, Dom, since you put this stupid game on. All right, we've got some questions to get through. We got one new one, Damo, from Friday.
Okay, there we go.
So we'll start with it. So, young Nick has a big question for us. Does Trent have what it takes to become the best right back / English footballer ever? I'm going to Dom first.
Best right back of all time.
Yeah, best right back and then
Probably.
/ English footballer.
English footballer, no. That's a big thing to do, especially as a right back. Best right back of all time is Dani Alves.
Yep.
He's young.
He's only 23. And he's got the full stack at Liverpool.
He can, yes. But, he can, yes. But Dani Alves changed the position.
Yep. I have to agree with that.
I think Trent's changing the position again, though.
Nah, Dani Alves was the pioneer of a right back.
He was. I'm not going to dispute that.
I've got one parameter for the English footballer thing, Damo, before you answer. I think Trent could be the best English footballer if he transitions into playing that number 8 role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he technically, I would take him over Phil Foden in my squad if I'm picking from scratch.
Foden's a fraud. He was against Watford.
Look, I'm going to stay impartial. Dani Alves, for me, is still the best right back in the world as of right now. And there's been good right backs. Carlos Alberto was the first of a generation who really started bombing on back in the 80s.
Cafu.
And he's probably up there.
Who?
Cafu.
Yeah, Cafu's another one, but he was defensively absolutely sound. I think Trent will be up there in that conversation by the end of his career if he stays injury-free. I think the question I'll throw to you boys, does he have to leave Liverpool and win elsewhere to become the best right back in the world?
No.
This is English just stay in England.
If hometown, home club.
I think...
Well, if he goes to Real Madrid and then wins everything there, you know what I mean?
I think Trent, if England win a World Cup and Trent's part of that World Cup squad that wins it and a big figure of it and has a stellar World Cup, like what he does for us, gets a few assists, England with a World Cup.
Dani Alves doesn't have the World Cup.
I think Trent will become, if England win the World Cup, the best English player to ever play for England. I think it's there, even as a right back, because I just think there's potential that Trent could, win.
Say if they do win this World Cup, with the eyes will be on Harry Kane. It'll be all about Harry Kane, especially if he's Golden Boot or something. Then he'll probably have the more to say.
Fair enough. I guess then we don't take the domestic factor into it. Then, if we don't do that, then take the domestic factor into it. There's probably a lot of guys that probably are up there for English best ever player.
Factor into things because there's only a tournament every
4 years
2 and then
or 2.
Yeah.
2 years.
I think Trent's got the ceiling. Put it this way: I think Trent's got the ceiling. It's a big ceiling to probably reach the top of, but he'll be in the conversation for both by the time he's done.
I have to agree with that.
We should just enjoy it.
All right, we'll move on because we do have a few other ones that I want to get to before we wrap up. Being mindful of time. Russ Bus, if you could take one player from your rival, who would you take? And Russo is saying that he would take Son from Spurs. Dame, I'll go to you first whilst Dom thinks of his. From a rival. Actually, before we go, Dom, who would you say is Chelsea's main rival?
For us as Australians?
Yeah.
Growing up watching the game, then it changes because we don't live there. We don't know for Liverpool fans in
Fulham if you're there.
Everyone, you can't. For you guys, you can't say it's Everton. I don't care what anyone.
We based ours on Everton.
Yeah, we based ours on Everton.
Yeah, but you don't know the true. For you, it should be Man United.
Oh yeah, we do.
What do you mean? That's the only other team in the town. They're 500 meters away from each other. You can't tell me they're not the rival.
You want to know why Everton fans hate us so much? We got banned because the highest of the size. The whole English football got banned.
I love it. That's the best.
League, right? Because of
in
what we
their
did
golden
to Juventus.
era.
During that whole era, Everton were out there pomp and blame us for them not winning a Champions League, which is great.
I love it. That is the definition of shithousery.
Never wish it happened ever to Juventus or any Juventus fan or anything like
Anyone
that.
that
But I
passed
think it's great that it's great that we ruined Everton's hopes, even though not rightly for the right thing. But if you want to quiz me on why I know Everton's our biggest rival, mate, come on, just let's go.
It's harder for us.
It is harder for us, but I watch documentaries in my sleep on that.
Oh, it's harder for Chelsea, Damo, is what he's saying, because they don't have
True.
They're in the west of London.
Fulham's always been up and down.
You can have Mitrovic. There you go.
Pulls, mate.
Or Clint Dempsey back in the day.
What a player.
Now, have a think, Dom, and Damo, I'll get you. You can pick. You can just pick from a London club that's not Spurs or Arsenal.
All right.
Because they are the only other like London teams that I feel like have a real established rivalry. So you can pick any other London team. Is that fair?
Okay, so I'll give. So let's do. I'll put a twist on Russo's. We'll do a player from a fellow top 6 club, and then from Everton or London club.
Yeah, all right, that's fine.
Well, so we'll go through our Everton ones first, so then that gives us time to think. You want to say what you went
with last time when you were thinking about it, or you want
me to go first? Look, if you've thought about it since Friday, you can go with someone new, obviously.
No, I haven't. I'm going to give the same answer.
Oh, well, then you go ahead.
So on Friday we had this chat. Me and Paul went back and forth, and I had this player picked out straight off the bat. I'm happy where Paul went with his decisions as well. It's a case that not anyone in that Everton squad gets into our starting 11, but I'm a big believer in in the Merseyside lads, and obviously being from the town. And I think that the fact that Gordon's broken into the Everton side shows a lot about him. I would take him as a bench player rotation option. Knows the city and can maybe develop into a better footballer. But yeah, I think he would be a great asset in order to, to have him around the squad. Would I say go pick him up, Liverpool? Probably not. But I just think
Elliot together.
He would show a lot of fight for the shirt. I think being from the town itself.
Yeah,
and
young talent, fits the mold. Good, looks direct. Mine was I had 2, depending on sort of what way you wanted to go about it. I was looking at for someone that gives you the flexibility. So if we're to lose a Mane in particular, I'd love a Richarlison to come in the other way. Can play left, right, through the middle. Does everything, fights the shirt, very Diaz-like in his approach. But the realistic signing for me that I'd take right now is Allen to help strengthen up the midfield. I think he'd be fantastic for us. So, Dom,
I would agree.
Who have you thought? I don't know if you're trying to talk because I can see your mouth moving, but I didn't get any audio from you whatsoever. I don't know if you muted yourself or not. But
I just said he's a good that Allen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Allen is.
All right, so your top 6 player, Dom, who would you go after?
Oh, do you want to do? Oh, you just did your rival, so should I do my rival?
Do your rival then.
Yeah, do your rival.
From a London club, Michael Elise from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, good pick.
Bowler. He is going to be a star.
Yeah. Good pick.
All right, he had such a good year.
Yeah.
Yours could be getting Gallagher back from loan.
Pardon?
How does Gallagher fit in next year, speaking about Palace?
Kante goes. One of Kante or Jorginho goes.
Yeah. Jorginho goes. Kante's still under.
Yeah. So I think, Gallagher's has to play. But, yeah, Michael Elise, kid's a star. Going to be a star.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. All right, Damo, top 6 club. Who you taking?
It's a big question, that, because there's a lot of good talent. What do we need? I guess we need a backup to Fabinho. So then does that mean I just take Kante? Is that what we do?
You take Rodri.
Yeah, you take Rodri if you're doing that.
You take Rodri as well. I want to go a different way. But it's hard to justify. Who gets into our team? We're so good.
I've told you already who I'm taking. Without you should know this.
I know who you're taking.
Pauls. I'm going to guess Pauls. Does he play for City?
Nah.
Nah.
If I say the club, it's going to be a giveaway. But I'm taking Harry Kane.
Yeah, I know that.
The way we play, he would dominate. Absolutely dominate. And that would be my response to City getting Haaland as well. Like, if we lose Mane, I'm throwing kitchen sink it at Harry Kane and going, do you want to win? Prove it.
Yeah.
Prove you are worth what you think you are worth.
I rate that. If we lose Mane, then throw in the kitchen sink. But Daniel Levy will not sell him for anything less than 200 million.
We wanted 120 last year.
Yeah, I think
he wanted 120 last year. He's a year older. He's a year closer to that contract expiring. He's got less leverage.
We'll take him.
Put 100 on the table and say, do you want to be competitive or not? Because here's 100 million to go and invest in the rest of your team. That's how I do it. And I go, if you don't want him, then in 18 months' time or whatever it is, a year's time, we'll get him for nothing.
I like that. If we lose Mane or
Yeah,
Salah,
in that case of us losing a superstar, then he's who I want to come in the other way because
fair.
Diaz Jota can stay out wide, Kane through the guts.
That's a realistic signing if we lost someone big.
Yep.
You never know. I like that. Great shout, Paul. I already knew you were saying that, but that's a great shout.
Dom, where you going? Top 6?
From top, can I say Erling Haaland?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, we'll give it to you. It's his sign for City.
Nah, okay. If I hadn't picked Haaland, it'd be a 50-50 between Son.
Yep.
Because he fit either the three, because he's unbelievable. Right foot, left foot, or Verge.
Yeah, I see that. Especially with Rudiger leaving, imagine being able to replace him with a Virgil. That'd be crazy.
Legs. Yeah, so that's mine.
All right.
Two.
This question's probably going to be more aimed at Dom this week now, Damo, after we did give our sort of thoughts on this one from Dim, the first one, part of his. Actually, before we get into it, this is a short answer question because we actually went into a lot of depth on this one on Friday, Damo. But
we did.
With Haaland going to City, will they finally win Champions League? Yes or no?
No.
Damo?
No, because Pep will overthink it.
Yep, and I'm of the same opinion. I know as well because if they couldn't do it against Lyon in a quarterfinal, then I'm just going to keep believing that they'll find a way to flop in big games.
Liverpool win multiple before City win another one.
That'd be fantastic.
I'm going to make a very brave statement. City will not win a Champions League before we're in our 50s.
Oh, jeez. I feel like by then they'll get one. That's a while away still.
Yeah, I just don't see them winning one.
They need some culture. All right.
If they couldn't win that team.
I need a bit of mentality monsters.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a whole new squad. All right, Dim's first part. All right, what are our first opinions on the new Chelsea owner? He's worried that he's not going to be 100% committed due to his commitments with the Dodgers. And he's known to let the clubs take control of his money, though, which is a positive. Dom, I've got no idea about anything to do with these owners. Do you know anything, and what are your thoughts about them coming in?
Historically, American owners don't do. But he's committed £1.5 billion already to not transfers, but the club.
That's
Cobram, the women's team, the youth academy, and obviously transfers as well. So he'll be good. And the club went through this massive process, went through whole different consortiums, owners to pick who they wanted, and I don't think they'd sell to a person who wouldn't be fully committed. That's the answer.
Yeah.
And they're already talking action in the transfer window with Perisic, Koundé, and Gvardiol.
Oh yeah, the centre back.
Yeah. It'll just be the Chelsea, which is good for the league.
Yeah,
which is good.
I have to agree. And I don't really have much to really say on top of that. I don't know, Dame, if you do, but
I'm going to just say what I said at the end of our discussion to Dim, because we went lengthily into this, but I'm going to say what I said at the end last time, Paul, which is Dim, he seems to be a guy that knows how to let the clubs take control of the money. He doesn't sit there and just overmanage. You're never going to find an Abramovich who's solely into the club. The fact that he's able to go into a club, have other investments, means he's probably a very good businessman. And a different type to like Arsenal's or United's money owners that just there for probably profit. So I think it's an exciting time. Give him a chance. Seems to be like he's quite a smart lad and has a very big sporting background. And, you know, look at us. We have American owners, but they want to build sustainability for the future. We've built that. Maybe that's something that he might bring to Chelsea, which is only a good thing for your football club.
Exactly right. Alrighty, fellas. Last question before we wrap up. From Rods. Who has the harder run home, Arsenal or Tottenham? I'll run through them for you now. Arsenal go away to Newcastle tomorrow morning, I believe. Sorry, Tuesday. I think tonight. I thought they played Monday.
Is it tonight?
No, they're Monday over there. Monday. So sorry, they're Tuesday morning our time. Yeah, Newcastle away, Everton home. And then Spurs are currently playing against Burnley, where they're 1-0 up. As at time of recording. What was that, Dom? You were breaking up.
Burnley have had one shot, so that's a win.
All right. And then their last game is Norwich. So I'm going to give my 2 cents in, and I said this on Friday, that Spurs definitely have the easier run home. And it's in Arsenal's hands, yes, but Newcastle away is very tough. Last home game at St. James, you don't want to be playing that one. And then Everton, who could be fighting for their lives on the last day still. Do Arsenal do an Arsenal and capitulate top 4 potentially? I've sort of just added that on top of the question, but I think they do.
And Spurs are playing a Norwich, who are probably the worst team I've seen
since Derby.
A lot. Yep. So yes, much easier run, especially they're 1-0 up already. Arsenal, the ball's in their court, but they just have to drop.
They need to win both.
They just have to drop a point, 2 points.
I see Arsenal finishing 5th. Spurs beat them to the post. And Arsenal just a bit unlucky. They had to beat Spurs, like you mentioned in Take One, Paul, that Arsenal Fan TV said beat Spurs, you're in the Champions League next year, and you mentioned that. Big believer in that as well when you brought that up. So I'll just reiterate what you said last time of recording, even though no one ever got to hear it. That yeah, Spurs run home's easier. Spurs should hang on against Burnley, and Arsenal in the danger seat, missing out on top 4.
Look, for Arsenal, it's one of those ones where no one predicted them being anywhere near being in the top 4. And yes, it's ultimately disappointing to not make it. When it's in your hands, but they shouldn't be overly distraught with not making it this year. Like, I think I don't know, it's hard because once you get back in there, then it gives you the opportunity for the wheels to get back in motion and the amount of players you get. But this team, the squad's not ready for it either. So a year in the Europa League might not be the worst thing just to get reintegrated back into Europe. Obviously, the quicker you can get in it, the better. But, to go from 2 years of 8th into 4th or 5th is still good progress.
I think if they make the Champions League, the group stage, they're going to see the gap between them and whoever their top seed, because they'll be a second seed. They're from Pot B. That top A team will pummel them home and away. If that's a Bayern or Real Madrid, PSG,
yeah,
they're going to really see how far they are off where they need to be.
Yeah,
but it'll be good. Yeah, I think it'll be good to see them back in the Champions League. Yeah,
I think long term it'll be good to get Arsenal back in because they are a historical, massive club, and I'll give them a lot of credit because Dame and I, and you as well, Dom, at the sporadic times that you've been on the pod, have been overly critical of Arsenal and what's been happening. But I'll give it to Arteta. Like, when pushes come to shove, they have adapted a style. But I mentioned this on Friday, and they didn't lose it last week against Spurs. They lost this opportunity in those 3 games coming, off of the Southampton, Brighton, Palace games. And that's 9 points.
Chelsea,
United, West Ham.
Teams in the top 6, 7. But then they lose against mid-table. So they just shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, but that's probably part and parcel of having a young team with that mentality that, when it's harder, and that's where good teams shine, and that's where championships get won, is when you go away to these teams or you play these teams at home that set up, they find results, and that's what City have been good at and what we've gotten better at, because that was under Rodgers, that was our problem too. We drop stupid points and find ways to shoot ourselves in the feet. So that's a skill, and for teams to be able to play against sides that will do that to them, like Brighton have shown this year that they can get big points. They've beaten United, they've beaten Arsenal, they've beaten Spurs. You got to go into those games treating it like it's a big game.
Correct. Fully agree.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up, fellas?
Buy your MND Fight and NMD beanies.
Yeah, I've got one on the couch. I didn't know you were wearing it. Otherwise, I would have whacked it on. I've got the last 4 or 5 in a row now. Support a good cause. Get around the Big Freeze game. I think it's this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Pretty sure.
Maybe. It's always one of my favourite games of the year.
Yeah. Get around it for all the research around Neil Danaher and his fight as well. Damo, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I got one more.
Oh, yeah, Dom.
Go, Dom.
Rest in peace, great Andrew Simons.
Yeah, that's what I was going to finish with. That was dreadful news to wake up to this morning. Big Roy.
Comes in throws.
Yeah, just sad to hear the circumstances around some of it as well. It's obviously still being uncovered about what's going on there, but it doesn't sound fantastic from what I've heard. But, just what an absolute legend of the sport, legend of the game. What a personality, commentator as well. Just one of a kind, one in a million, to be honest. I had the pleasure of meeting him when I was very young, in Cairns Airport, of all places. And he signed a book for me that I just scrimmaged out of my bag with a pen. And he signed the back cover. So, what an absolute gun, legend, and an inspiration, really, for a lot of us. Because, he was coming through when we were 11, 12 years old.
He was a gun, absolute freak. Should probably play some more Test match cricket. And it's just sad that we've lost another one so young. And someone can wrap Gilly in some cotton wool for the next year. That'd be great.
Yeah, look, hopefully that's the end for a while
Better be.
Tragic passings. Don't put that in the atmosphere.
No, Jarvis, I don't want to. It's yeah.
On that note, fellas, thank you once again for another podcast. For the listeners, thank you for your continued support. As always, the link to the Discord will be in the description. So make sure you jump over on that link to get your questions in and interact. Damo is pumping out some FM content with Adelaide United. I had episode 1 of my St. Paulie with Paulie save go up today as well. So plenty of streams, plenty of YouTube videos. I'll get my AFL review up this week as well from round 9. So there's plenty of content coming. Dom, once again, thanks for jumping on and getting your phone camera in as well so viewers can finally see your face. Damo, as always, thanks for jumping in for number 50. Mate.
Oh, mate, it's always nice to get to 50. Thank you very much, everybody. Remember to get in touch with us if you have any questions, anything like that. You can find me and Paul everywhere. But more importantly, couldn't do it without you, mate. So you can sign it off, and it's been a pleasure to be with you for 50 episodes.
Thanks, Damo. So that closes off episode 50. Make sure you guys get all the notifications on, get amongst all the different socials, and we will see you back very, very shortly for episode 51 of the PD Sports Podcast.